I'm Dr. Jomarie Zeleznik. I'm one of the co-founders of the CareGivers project. This event we host in the spring and in the fall. Am I okay for being heard? Yes. Okay, yes. This is an uncomfortable room to speak in. This was conceived as an event where a caregiver would attend with the person that they were taking care of, but for no utilitarian purpose. It's not a doctor's appointment, it's not a beauty parlor, it's not going to the worship service. This is a party. I need to make some thank yous. The 5-star Premier residents gave us complimentary use of this space and their staff to set up and clean up. By name, that's Lourdes Santa Cruz, Peggy Doyle, and Giovanna Rogau were the people at 5-star who helped us. I need to thank my colleagues in the CareGivers project, Donna Jacobson-Silverman, who is the program director for My Mother's Recipe, and Mary Ellen DeVito, who is another co-founder of the CareGivers project. All right, enough with the plugs. These women spent months of time planning this event. I also need to thank Sandra Ritzman, who got us donations of the cookbooks on the raffle table simply by cold contacting the authors of the cookbooks. And through that, we made a lot of friends on social media. Is anybody who wants to buy a raffle ticket and has not yet done so, you need to do so now, because Dorothy's going to be pulling the tickets shortly. Sandra says there's a few tickets missing. Yes, I have mine. You guys can get up. If anybody wants to buy raffle tickets, this helps us support the cost of this event. We run the raffle by putting the tickets. You can load the basket for the item that you want. So if you want to put 5 tickets into the basket with the red wine, or 5 tickets into the cheese basket, you're more likely to win that. I can't guarantee there's no cheating because Maureen Callahan is here. She always wins the wine. I also need to thank and acknowledge Maureen's effort in getting my father here while she was transporting her mother here from the nursing home, which is what caregivers in nursing homes do for each other. They help each other's parents. They're the only members of the crowd representing the nursing home caregivers. There's additional thank yous on the written program there. Those are individuals and businesses that contributed to this event, such as the flowers and some of the other items here. On the back of your form is an evaluation. I'm responsible for the metrics of this organization, so I read all of these very carefully. Those questions are not random. We agonize over which questions to ask you. You can't hear me? Okay. I have a few observations for who attended today. We have some firsts and we have some milestones. This is our first time we have international attendees. Paris and Berlin are represented. I hope you guys meet each other. That's a little bit closer to my dream of taking My Mother's Recipe on the road. We also have critical mass of Generation X and Generation Y. And while Gen X and Gen Y probably aren't taking care of old people right now, if you fast forward 25 or 35 years, you guys are not going to be able to rely on the experience of baby boomers because things are going to be much more difficult. So I want to give you all enough lead time for my secondary gain of getting this right before I get old. There's one other observation that I want to make about who's here today. There's more people in this room who recently lost their job as caregivers. And when you lose your job as a caregiver, you don't just go on the next day with a new hobby. This is something that's a profound event, and it's not surprising to me that those people want to be in this room, because I think what happens first is there's a period of self-debriefing, followed by a period of wanting to tell stories, and having the skill of giving empathy to current caregivers. So I think this organization is, although it was designed to come with the person you're caring for, has also accommodated people who are no longer caregivers. Today we're going to tell some stories about family recipes, and both Donna and Mary Ellen have had some time to think about it. If their stories inspire you, I'm going to give you the microphone and see if we can. I guess there's a few people who've been told they might be called upon to tell a story about either comfort food, a family recipe, how a recipe got here from the old country, how we season the rice, So I'm going to turn the microphone over to Mary Ellen, who's going to tell us about her father's meatballs.
Thank you. This event is called My Mother's Recipe for a reason. It started out in Dr. Zeleznik's office, and it was mostly mothers and daughters at the time. That's why it's called My Mother's Recipe, and that's, of course, very important. But any recipe of anyone that we love or care for and who has had an impact on us counts. So today I'm going to talk about, very fittingly, because it's a Sunday, my father's meatballs. Because traditionally, Sunday was the day that we made the meatballs, and it was either before Mass or after Mass. So we would always have my father in his undershirt, because he would take his shirt off so it wouldn't get dirty. And my father would be there with his big hands, because he was a butcher, and he had very big hands. And he'd be making the meatballs, and he'd say, "Hey, Mary Ellen, come in here," because he couldn't take his hands out of the meat. And he would say, "Put some salt in, or put some cheese, put a little, oh, that's enough, that's enough." And I always remember that. It's a memory that's emblazoned in my mind, which just goes to prove that a recipe is so much more than just food and ingredients. I mean, the reason that we revere these recipes is because we revere the people who were there with the tough. I'm sorry, excuse me. And the meatballs have no recipe that is written down, unfortunately. So what I do is I go by the smell, the way that it smells. I remember the way it smelled. And unfortunately, if anybody had a chance to try the meatballs that I brought, they don't taste anything like this. But I tried very hard. So I guess that's it.